Good morning. This is Pastor Ray Frank, Syracuse Wesleyan Church, and today is Monday, July the 15th. Halfway through the month already. Well, it seems like every general election year becomes more chaotic and mean-spirited. And certainly there's no exception to that this year. I personally believe one reason of such rage and anger and bitterness that's being expressed is the effect of social media. You can say whatever you want to say. And actually, the more edgy it is, the more bitter, the more lambastic your speech, the more hits you get. The more people share it with their friends, and whether they're poking fun at you or are agreeing with you. And so it grows, and then the other side comes back with something as bitter and as vigorous as what you've said. But so how does a Christian respond in such a world? Well, we've been working through 1 Peter in the last few weeks in our worship services. And yesterday we focused on 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 13 through 17. And two of the phrases I want to muse on this morning from that passage are submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every human authority. And then the last one, that last verse in that passage, honor the emperor. Or as we would say in our culture, respect the president. Simply put, it means that we are to be model citizens in whatever country we are part of, and that we should obey and respect the laws of that country. I think we can apply this to say that we ought to obey the law, drive the speed limit, pay your taxes, and vote. It also means that even when there's an elected official that we believe may be just doing making horrible decisions and policies, that whether it's the President of the United States or a Hamilton County Commissioners, we are still to show proper respect for the position. One of the descriptions that Peter uses when talking about Christians in this context here, he said, live as free people, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Free people live by moral standards and can govern themselves. People without these inner controls have to be governed by an outside force, possibly even by a police state. Liberty exists in proportion to the citizens' respect for moral law and the recognition of personal responsibility. Whether a man steals much or little depends on his opportunity. Whether a man steals at all depends on his character. Our job as Christians is to be polite, loving, and kind, even when we disagree vehemently. I remember I mentioned in my sermon yesterday that as a pastor, I'm not nearly as concerned about how you vote as I am about how you treat those who vote differently than you vote. We're to show respect. We're to be kind. And we're to do it for the Lord's sake. His reputation is in your hands. And it always bothers me when people claim to be Christian and yet live opposite of what a follower of Christ would live. The motivation for obedience is not to just avoid punishment, but it is to do it for the Lord's sake, to bring honor and glory to Him. By doing so, Peter said, you will put to silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. Another translation says the ill-informed criticisms. Well, there are certainly ill-informed criticisms of Christians today. There are people who contest that Christians are now a danger to society. How do we counteract that? I think by submission to those in authority over us, to show respect and kindness, and do it in the Lord's sake. Even in such a culture as we live in, the words of C.S. Lewis still ring true. The best argument for Christianity is a real Christian. So the question that really matters is, will I live in my culture today, in my family, in my job, in my contacts with others, as a real Christian? Something to muse on this week. God bless you.